So I figured I'd talk about demons. Now at this point, demons aren't exactly people with red skin and devil horns. It's a little more complicated than that. Now the way that I explain it is really through this. Time travel. Now time travel is pretty complicated, and at the same time kind of simple. Like okay, think of an infinity symbol. You know, something that ever loops, constant rotation, ever infinite. Now would you believe that this is the key to time travel? Now imagine a line next to it. This would be the timeline. At one end is around 6000 BC. This is basically towards the beginning of modern time. It also correlates with Noah's flood, where all of a sudden there was an abundance for sin and there had to be a clean slate. At the other end, basically the end of all civilization and society as we know it. An epic war between angels and demons, God and devil. Now where we are is smack dab in the middle, maybe slightly towards the beginning part. 8,000 years ahead, 8,000 years to go. We're living during a time where we basically solved most of life's mysteries without God. Conquered the world, advanced science. People could deny his existence and general theistic concepts and seem normal and even status quo. It's basically the middle of an hourglass. Now, something else worth noting is due to the intersection, it's also where time travel is at its most stratified, where the most time-displaced copies could take place at once. Think of it like this. Imagine dying and then being reincarnated back in time. Won't that be scary? To be reborn in the past, reduced to your last shred, and to be brought back as a different person. But your past self still exists at the same time. There's the occasional loophole. Sometimes a person could just time travel and at least retain more of a consciousness. Even then, some slippage is possible. God himself is in a time loop. He goes back in time to create the universe. Why do you think he's mostly indistinguishable from most history? He's working through a predetermined script, where as much as he wants to help, he can't. Some angels go through this process as a form of second and third chance to do things right and make things better. And as far as demons, they are much more complicated than that. Because there is no learning for them, they are destined to make the same mistakes and keep perpetuating like a stain. Now as far as the max, like 6. 6 times, 666. As by the 6th time, might as well give it a rest. Devil's in the details. And this includes Satan himself. One of his earliest forms is the snake in the Garden of Eden. That's one of his weakest forms, maybe his first. Thing is though, much like how God is basically an angel but more determined, the devil is a demon but more stubborn. So let's assume he got a little more juice for time travel. As for how many copies now? 9. Sickest 69 joke I ever heard. Thing is though, his 6th round would be him at his strongest. Big red guy with horns, master of temptation and sin. So the later 3 rounds are more his perpetual downfall, to become something more pathetic, like a snake. 6-7, because 7 ways starts falling apart. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7 ain't 9. This might also be the most justified reason to be skeptical of a gay. Truth be told, there isn't a reason to have issues with gays in general. Because if it's love between 2 consenting adults, nothing wrong with that. But now, for consideration of time travel, there's the worry of screwing yourself. An important rule of time travel is not to screw yourself. Well, to be perfectly honest, it should be physically impossible if you're inside the angels. This is especially worrisome for transgenders, because they could wish and wish to be the opposite sex. Then in the next life, they get what they wish for. However, through time dysplasia, they could gradually screw themselves. Generally, there's a reason that marriage is a sacred bond between a man and a woman. Women are destined to be the perfect paralleling souls to men, contrasting in terms of personality and humor. It's the ultimate loophole in life. Women are great. And hopefully being pro-feminist could contrast the homophobia. I guess it's also worth mentioning multiverses. Way I see it, while time travel is a complex dream, there's only one other universe, but it's a notable one. It acts as a slippage universe for things not lining up. It's near identical to ours. However, over time, it becomes way more chaotic. If you think of one choice in your life that would have led to something more different and sinful, that's what the slippage universe is for. Anyway, what are some of your thoughts on time travel and the like? Any ideas of your own? Feel free to let me know. Open to anything.